everybody's given a little bit something different in terms of what they're good at. But if you feel like you have a natural inclination to work hard, you should really try to cultivate that, because this concept of working a little bit harder than everyone else, it's not going to guarantee success, but it's probably going to be your greatest asset in enhancing your odds of things working out well. It's, there's all these adages, early bird gets the worm, and you've heard, 10% does 90. There's like a million different ones, and I can't, bring them all up right now, but it's always the same concept, and it's the idea that the work really does pay off eventually. And being persistent and persevering and really being very focused on trying to acquire a lot of knowledge and be as good at whatever you're working on as you can, it ultimately really will benefit you.
What is your current job title and some of your responsibilities?
So here at the store, what I do is I take care of all the billing, invoices, day-to-day office needs. We're also out on the floor selling product, and then I also go out and do estimates and service jobs for the store and the service.
What's your current job title and some of your responsibilities?
Okay, so currently I am a landlord. So basically what I do now is I care for the needs of my families that are in the Merrimack Valley. There's about 80 families, and I'm involved in pretty much making sure they have everything that they need. So it really runs the gamut from, you could just imagine anything that could break in your home. When you rent, if you have a good landlord, you don't actually have to worry about those problems. So anything that goes wrong in the home, they basically text or call me, and I'm on that. So this time of the year, you have a lot of people who have trouble with maybe the heating system will stop working, anything electrical, a lot of plumbing, and most of the repair work that I am capable of doing is mostly through asking a lot of questions and having some faith that I can learn and do it. So it's a lot easier when you get a little bit older. So I think the key ingredient, especially when you're younger, is to basically look at a problem and say, there's a solution. There's people that know the solution to this problem, and I can know the solution too if I can persevere and push through. And I think that's really like the key, that perseverance, because if you don't have that, you will just get blown away by the complexity of something, and you won't figure it out. But if you can really kind of power through, the lessons that you learn in the process of doing that is so invaluable for so many other things.
What is your current job title and some of your responsibilities?
So I'm primarily the owner of the company along with my partner Paul. We founded Axial Financial in 2006. We came from a bigger firm called Smith Barney, and decided in 2006 we wanted to take our financial lives and business into our own hands. The way it works is you leave and start your own business, and it happens immediately. So you're responsible for bringing over your clients, and you basically work 80 to 100 hours a week for a few months until the clients come over, or you don't have a business. At that point in time, there were 6 of us. We had a little group over at Smith Barney, and now we have 43 of us. Over the course of time, we'll have our 15-year anniversary next year.
How were you introduced to the pool industry in high school?
We just started to work on pools. We started from just vacuuming pools, and we went into learning more about the business or pools, and we went from just vacuuming pools to starting to work on pools, to learning about the plumbing, to learning about construction, and that's how we grew into the business.
And I got my certification, my CPA license, and worked on small business cases. So I would do everything from, the bookkeeping to their tax return, to the personal returns, to the kids' returns. So I saw everything from a business perspective on how it was run from soup to nuts, from budgeting and paying bills and, running, being responsible for hiring and firing and employees and things of that nature. So I always had the entrepreneur bug in me, which was a little unique. Most CPAs are kind of inside people, introverted. I was always an outside person. I liked being at a client's office and dealing with things outside of just punching numbers and debits and credits. So was working, had started a family, was working 80 to 100 hours a week nonstop. And at that point in time, I decided that if I'm going to work this hard, I could always have the CPA certification to fall back on. I'm going to try to do something on my own. So started building my own business through cold calling, cold walking, networking, joining groups, and just introducing myself, not selling anything per se, just selling myself as a CPA and a financial planner.
I actually established a really important relationship with somebody because I played tennis. It was a tennis coach, and he was actually really instrumental because very early when the computers first came out, he saw that as a business opportunity. So his plan was, I'm going to go buy 8 of these computers, and he was a teacher at the high school, and on the side, I'm going to run a course and teach the kids how to use them. And as a consequence of having that job with him, when the class was over, he's like, it's going to be a little bit before we start again. Do you want to keep one of these computers at home? I'm like, definitely. And that was really an opportunity for me to have a computer in my house at a young age when a lot of people really didn't, because they were still kind of, they were a little bit expensive and they really weren't in that many houses. And I realized by playing with it that I'm like, oh, I really like this. It's like creative and I can write software and make it do things. So I think that was really instrumental in how I finally wound up going into software.
I chose accounting because at the time there was a pretty big recession back in 91, 92, and there weren't a lot of jobs, but there was always accounting jobs.
For full disclosure, the way I always describe myself is I describe myself as a phenomenal landlord, but a somewhat poor businessman. And the reason I always say that is because in the game of real estate, especially if you're a landlord and you're renting, the optimal way to maximize your returns is to collect as much rent as possible and to expend as little money as possible. But I've never used that approach. See, when I entered the real estate, it wasn't really in an attempt to build wealth. It was more in an attempt to kind of like usefully use some capital that I accumulated and find something productive for myself to do. Typically, when you have money that you put into a business, you're interested in return characteristics. So this is all kind of financial analysis type math, and that's just something that along the years I actually developed an interest in. That's actually how I started in the real estate. I was looking for a good way to kind of put some money to work. That would be kind of where I'd actually be part of the equation, as opposed to, when you invest in the equity markets, it's kind of it's a passive approach. You put your money somewhere and you hope something good happens. You can try to do your research and hopefully pick well, but real estate definitely can be an investment where you can definitely add value if you're adding time. And I've always had the rationale that I'll invest in my tenants. And what will that give me? That will give me more longevity, which is really important, because one of the ways that you spend a lot of money, and this is like in any sales business, it costs so much more to develop a new lead than to maintain an existing client. The turnovers in the apartments are really expensive. So if you can have somebody stay for a long time, that's really important. It's a lot of work to get an apartment ready for a new person. And the other thing I think about too is I have 80 families that I care for. So if I have families stay on average for 10 years, that still gives me 8 I have to do every year, and 8's a lot. So I want people to stay as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways I can do that is by really upholding my end.
We're a little bit of an anomaly in the fact that not many financial advisors went independent at the time. Now it's much more frequent because people like us have kind of forged the path that other people can, like our broker dealer is independent, and so they use us as kind of look what they did. They went, and this is what they had to do, and we'll talk to people from time to time about the next steps in terms of what we went through. But a lot of it was I guess being young and dumb, and we didn't know what we didn't know. So we kind of were faced. We planned out as much as we could, but then there were double of the things that we didn't plan for and had to address. So it was more of trial and error and just making mistakes and learning from them and moving on. And now we've got kind of a seamless process here as to how we manage our clients, and everyone kind of specializes in certain areas.
Because I worked for UPS. I don't even think I mentioned that as one of my jobs. I worked for UPS. And I was a very highly motivated employee. I got Employee of the Month 2 months in a row. And they came to me and they're like, Steve, I can make you a supervisor. You can make like $30,000 a year. But this is in like August. And I'm like, no, I gotta go to school. So I could have, if I was just driven by the money, I could have made a really bad decision there. But I kind of knew I needed to invest in myself longer. And I think that was really important for me.
We use the analogy. It was we took a kind of a shotgun approach to building a business. Paul and I split up the duties, and we went every which direction to hiring CPAs, hiring to do our books, to and lots of things that we forgot about, and then it came at you, and we just dealt with it, from signing lease agreements and all of that stuff, along with trying to bring our clients over, right, and making phone calls and going to the houses and talking to them about why they should come with us. I think they all liked us personally, and thought we were very good at what we did in terms of managing money and preparing financial plans, but we still were in competition. What they did was they gave those names of our clients to all the other financial advisors who stayed behind, and they were trying to keep those clients. So we had our work cut out for us, and we just worked long nights and long weekends, and one by one the clients, we had a story to tell that we were doing this move for them, not necessarily for us, because most advisors go from UBS to Merrill Lynch, or Merrill Lynch to Smith Barney to take a large check in advance, and we didn't do that. We forgo that to start our own business, and it was a good story to tell, and a lot of our clients have been with us for 20 years. They like the fact that they were here when we started, and they take a little bit of pride in that, which is kind of nice.
Really big companies, and they have millions and millions of dollars. How are we, a team of 12 engineers, going to do this? But one of the things that you can never sell short is people who are very, very highly motivated. They can really achieve incredible things. Somebody who's working at a big company is just not usually sufficiently motivated to take the steps necessary to really do something a little bit more revolutionary.
Can't stand out as much.
And that's why you see it over and over again. Why is it possible for these companies to, one company after another is disruptive in an industry? Why don't the big companies, why haven't they just picked all that up on their own? It's because that highly motivated group can always find a niche that they can basically use as a toehold to grow a big company.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Yes. So I think that's all set for interviewing.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
That was easy, Sam.
Yeah.
That was ice cream.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad.